If you look at the different categories of viruses, viruses can be categorized based on different methods. For example, we could categorize the viruses, or we could categorize the malicious softwares based on their behavior or how they spread across the network or how they spread across our infrastructure. So based on that, we can say that there are basically, or mainly, there are three types of viruses: either the ordinary traditional virus that we know about, the worms, and the Trojan horses. We will discuss these in a little bit more detail in the next few slides. What is the difference between a virus, what is a virus, what is a worm, and what is a Trojan, and what are the major differences between them. Then we can also categorize the viruses based on how they are transmitted across the network. So they could be transmitted using a mobile media. They could, for example, a flash drive or a hard disk. They could be spread across the network using network sharing or network scanning or emails or P2P networks, as we discussed in the previous few slides. We could also categorize them based on what objects they are infecting, whether they are attacking the operating system or certain application or certain types of devices. That could be another way of categorizing the viruses. And then where are the viruses residing, whether they are existing as an executable file in the form of a script or a macro, or they are residing in the boot area of the hard disk. So depending upon where and how they are residing, we could categorize the viruses based on them. A virus program has a specific structure. They have an infection mark, they have an infected program module, the damaged program module, and the triggered program module, which means that they are going to target their device or target, they are going to identify a target, infect a target, and then they are going to damage the target, and then they're going to be using that target to further spread out or to be triggered to other destinations within the infrastructure. If you look at the principles of viruses, if you look at the definition of what a virus is, viruses simply, you might be knowing this already, but what the viruses do is that the viruses infect the host programs, or they infect the computers on which they attack or on which they reside in, and they take control of the computer. And then they look for vulnerabilities and weaknesses elsewhere so that they can infect other computers or other hosts as well. And once that is done, and then they embed themselves into other computers as well, and from there they can spread out to more computers. Basically, the viruses actually reside in the computers in the form of files, and when those files are carried to other computers, either through email or through flash drives or USB drives or hard disks, then they spread to other computers as well. So we can say that the viruses are dependent upon some program or are dependent upon some entity to carry them to the other computers so that they can infect other computers or other hosts as well. However, if we look at the worms, another type of virus, we can say another type of malware, we should say, to be specific. Worms are those malicious programs or are a type of malware which are slightly different from traditional viruses, in the sense that worms can self-replicate themselves, which means that they do not require the help of another program to carry them from one host to the other. They can actually replicate themselves, and they can carry themselves over the network from one host to the other host directly without needing a support of any other program like email or a hard disk being used, or an external hard disk being used to carry from one device to the other, or a flash drive being used to carry them from one device to the other. So in this sense, we can say that worms are more dangerous than traditional viruses because they have the ability to self-replicate and spread themselves across the network on their own. So this is how a possible way of how worms would spread from one computer to the other computers or hosts. They could scan the IP addresses, look for vulnerabilities, and if a vulnerability exists, they would attack that vulnerability and infect other hosts as well. Similarly, if we look at Trojan horses are programs similar to viruses and worms. However, the basic or the main principle of Trojan horses is that they reside in computers and then they can be controlled by whatever or whichever program launched them or whichever program used them to infect the servers or the computers. So we can say that a Trojan horse software or the malware, which we call Trojan horse, consists of a configuration program, a control program, and the Trojan horse program itself. So what happens is that the configuration program is going to launch or is going to lodge the Trojan horse virus, Trojan horse malware into a server, and then the control program is going to use that Trojan to control the server and thus start communication with the server and potentially get access to data within the server by opening a backdoor on that server or on that host. How this happens is in a step-by-step process. We can see that control terminal is trying to infect a server with the Trojan. The Trojan gets access into the server and now it's sitting in the server. It sends necessary information to the control program, and the control program using that information can establish a connection or communication with that server, and now a backdoor has been opened on the server which can be used for accessing the server and controlling the server on a permanent basis or on a long-term basis. And now the server is being controlled by this control program. So basically these are some of the differences between the traditional viruses, the worms, and the Trojan horses. As you can see that the virus or the Trojan horse are parasitic in nature, which means they are dependent upon other programs to be carried to a server or to be carried to a certain host. However, worms are independent and they are self-replicated, so they can actually travel from one host to the other on their own. You can look at the other differences on your own, and you can do your own research on the internet and try in fact, I encourage you to look at these 3 types of malware in detail. Okay, so now that we know about the different types of viruses and different categories of viruses, let's take a look at the common virus features that are out there. These are the common virus features. The viruses could be doing one of these things, one or more of these things. And these are the properties of the viruses, that viruses could be downloading certain stuff, viruses could be opening backdoors, they could be collecting information on our hosts, normally passwords or credit card information or bank account information. Viruses are normally, or malwares are normally self-concealing, which means it's not easy to detect them and easy to catch them. So they make sure that they stay hidden within the system and they cannot be detected by antivirus softwares, ordinary antivirus softwares, or by the users themselves. Then mostly they are used to infect files, and once the files have been infected, then those files can be used to carry those viruses to other hosts as well. Then the worms, a type of virus, can be used for attacking the network as well, generating a lot of traffic on the network, and the networks could be attacked in a way using denial of service on the networks, and these viruses or worms could be using the network to spread to other systems on our infrastructure. Now that we know the basic characteristics of viruses, let's take a look at the different antivirus technologies that are available to us, that are available in the industry.